Yo, what's going on today, guys? We're back here for another tier list. We will be getting into that in 1 second. This is going to be for week 2. I basically want to do like a tier list for the meta decks every week now for the meta, just to see if there are any differences, any new decks that pop up. So yeah, we have this tier list maker we will get into. And just an FYI, some decks were missing, and at the very end, we added them in to rank them. So if you do see a deck that's not there originally at the beginning of the video, I would recommend watching till the end, and let's get into it. Yeah, so last tier list, I put 3-4 decks in top tier. I think Dark Rag Giratina is just, the top tier deck. And I'm not sure if I could put anything else because it's the deck that's just having the most dominance in every single tournament. You always see Dark Ratinas at the top. Yes, there are very strong decks that are very close, such as Buzzwole, Guzzlord, and you could argue Espeon as well, but I just think Dartina is so dominant. Yeah, I just think it's the best deck, dude. I just don't think there is anything at that level anymore. Because we could look in tournaments and yeah, there are some Buzzwoles doing good, but you don't see 20 Buzzwoles in top 16, or obviously that's not possible, but you know what I mean. You don't see 8 Buzzwoles in top 8 anymore. So I think Dark Tina is just the top tier deck of the game. And yeah, it's not as bad as last meta of Zard and stuff, but I just think it's, the strongest deck for a reason. So I'm going to put a top tier, and maybe I do put a tier in between top tier and high tier as we go on. But for now, I think Dark Rag Giratina is the only deck that can be in that category. And we just kind of speed run them, bro, because they are pretty, basic. I think Buzzwole, whether variant you're playing stuff like two Pheromosas, I think they're mostly the same, some different matchups depending if you have Cortana. I think Buzzwole is very strong. I'm not these, I think it's a top 3 deck in the game. It's good in the Dark Rag Giratina, it's good in the Guzz. It's only real 3 losing matchups, or Espeon's really bad, EV Box is also bad, and stuff I said EV Box and then Zard, but everybody loses to Zard if you don't God roll, or if they God roll. I mean, I think this is the second best deck, and it's not going to be ordered probably, but for the most part, I already see garbage, bro. This is garbage. Executor Wilbur, it's not a real deck. Sure, it could be funny, but it's not. For the other top tier decks, I still think Savali or Ikorio, it's still strong. I think stuff like Nagano, Guzzlord are strong. And I'm just going to put both the Guzzlords next to each other because I think overall, I think they're pretty similar. Nagano has better early offensive, while the other version has more of a grind game, I would say. You could, you play Wills and stuff to disrupt your opponent. But I think they're both close enough, dude, so I could just put them the same. Nagano, Guzzlord is very good. It's an even matchup in the Dartina. It beats Espeon, loses the Guzz, has a really good Charizard and or Ikorio matchup as well. So Guzz kind of just beats everything at the top. It loses to Buzzwole, and that's it. I think Guzz is one of the strongest decks right now. I'm gonna say this, bro. I see a lot of people saying Espeon is top tier along with Dark Rag Giratina. It is not. Dark Rag Giratina is such a bad matchup. Don't get me wrong, I beat Dark Rag Giratina. I've also lost so many times playing Espeon. I've seen other Espeon players just, talk about it. It's just, Espeon has just 2 very bad matchups. It has Dark Rag Giratina and Guzzlord that are meta relevant. So I think because those 2 decks are being played a lot, I feel Guzzlord is also picking up in tournaments. I feel Guzzlord was always a better ranked deck, and not a lot of people brought up the tournaments. I feel that has been changing as, it's just really good into the meta. So I feel in both tournaments and ranked, this is probably majority ranked, but because there's always slight differences between tournament decks and ranked, but for the most part, bro, they're kind of around the same stuff. But I think Espeon just struggles. I think it was good early. I think it's one of those decks that are way better early game, but as the meta develops, it's the bad matchups are just getting played more. Because I feel Guzzlord is always a deck that nobody really plays at the beginning of a season. It's always a deck that just picks up more and more as people realize it just beats everything besides 1 or 2 decks. So I think as the meta goes on, I think Espeon is going to get weaker. I think, don't get me wrong, I think Espeon is still a very strong deck. It has bad matchups and it sucks going first, or it can suck going first. So I think that's why I'm going to put Espeon in high tier. I think it's a very strong deck still, but don't get me wrong, I don't think it's top tier some people are gassing it up to be. So that's my personal opinion as someone who's been playing Espeon. Some other decks that I want to put in high tier are going to be Charizard, Sylveon. People realize that Charizard is still broken. Yes, Oricorio is still meta relevant. However, you always have a way to beat them with that genetic Apex Flareon. Obviously, sometimes it is on the bottom of the deck, and they can play around that in certain situations, but you have like that one bad matchup, you have like Guzzlord, but at the end of the day, like these Charizard players are attacking in stuff like Rocky Helmet or Red to be able to beat Guzzlord. And while Guzzlord can't beat them, a fast Zard is still a fast Zard. If you don't give your opponent time to basically set up, the Zard can just sweep. So Zard is still a high tier deck. It's not as dominant as it was just because there's other decks in the meta as like last season, but it's still very strong. And it's like I said, bro, it's like it can just steamroll. Like if they get a fast, bro, you have no answers, or you just brick for like one turn, you probably just lose. So yeah, I just think it's high tier, man. Like that's it. Like there's what else? I don't know what else to say. I also think EV Box. I think EV Box is also high tier. EV Box is pretty good into stuff like Dark Tina. I think it's probably like evenish. Maybe it is overall like EV Box favored. I also could just start calling it the Flareon Leafeon deck because, you know, we have like 2 EV Box technically, but everybody just calls it Espeon. But EV Box good into, or like even Dark Tina maybe wins. Also beats Buzzwole. I think it's probably like also even for Guzzlord potentially. Can beat Espeon. I think the main reason like EV Box isn't like, I think EV Box could low-key be a top 3 deck. I think there's 2 things holding that back. I think Oricorio is annoying because you have to draw the non-EX Leafeon. I also think that the Charizard matchup is just bad. It's just bad. Besides those 2 things, I mean, EV Box is just good. It also beats like stuff like Sylveon Greninja, which we can just talk about it. Sylveon Greninja still is good, has some worse matchups now. It's still technically a strong deck. Like I'm not gonna act like it's as strong as it was last season, but it's still there. It is still a deck you have to respect, and it's probably at the lower end of the high tier, but it's still a strong deck at the end of the day, man. You know, you have Sylveon, you can get fast Greninjas, you have Giratina for that heavy damage. Same thing it's been doing. It's just like I said, bro, worse matchups, and there's just more decks, so not everybody is playing only that deck. And oh yeah, also we have like Savali Pichu. Savali Pichu is like it's like basically the same thing as Oricorio. It just depends on if you're playing a Savoro or Pichu or not. I would put it in the same range, dude. I think it's the same thing at the end of the day. Like you don't have Zorora attacker, but I think more consistently being able to tackle Savali going first is kind of better. So yeah, I think it's probably like around the same overall. I could probably like speed run some, dude. Like I think Savali Rampardos, I think it's mid tier. Obviously, you know, if you God roll draw Rampardos, I think it's still a strong deck. You know, Savali is also very strong. It's just very inconsistent, and like Oricorio Savali or Darkrai Savali has just been like shown to be more consistent. I guess we could just talk about that as well. I think Darkrai Savali, dude, I don't really know how I would put it, bro, because I'm not really ordering these. I think Darkrai Savali is actually broken. Like that deck is like, it's usually like Magby, Pichu, Darkrai, Savali, you know, one of the baby Pokemons to ramp up going first, and you just ramp up Darkrai to attack fast. Dude, I mean, it's just, you have Savali, and then you have the additional chip damage from Darkrai. You have a better going first. I think it's hella good, man. I think it's pretty strong. And yeah, exactly as you're saying, Dave, like you were in like the middle of the meta. So I feel like there are some like more stuff that can get developed. Because like this is like, you know, I did the week 1 tier list, which we could go like look at, which is like kind of like this stuff, you know, we had like some decks like missing. And I feel like a lot of stuff has like developed, bro, since then. Like I think like I had a little bit of like Copium, bro. I thought Darkrai Giratina like was strong. I thought there were some decks that, you know, were next to it, but I really do think overall like it is the top tier deck of the game. So like there's a lot of stuff for like anyways, like continuing on though, like I think Solgaleo, bro, I think it's a low tier. It's like dude, it's like I'm gonna save Solgaleo for last. I think Lugia is low tier. I think there's just better Ho-Oh versions, and I just think there's better versions of Ho-Oh. No, yeah, we're gonna add more of them. We're gonna add all the decks after I finish which ones we are missing. So that's just a plan. I just don't know which ones I'm missing until I look at all the decks, you know. I think Dragonite, bro, I'm gonna say it, bro. Dragonite is low tier. I just don't care. I know it just as good in the tournament. It's a high roll deck. I do not care whether you're playing Dragonite of Sylveon for the extra consistency or you're playing like Zorora, dude, to be with the like elemental charge. Just go play Charizard, bro. I'm gonna be so real. I think Dragonite sucks. I played the deck. I literally played the exact deck day like 2 that the person just did good in the tournament. I just don't believe in it. It's such a god roll deck. We have Arceus Pichu. I think Arceus Pichu, man, like I think it's like barely. I think it's like barely at a high tier. I think it's a maybe it also could. We have like a really actually like diverse meta, bro. Like I feel like this meta is like pretty balanced. Bro, we are not, if we're including Stat 2 Typhlosion, bro, that's going in garbage. Very funny deck, dude, but like that is just bad. But RC, dude, I almost want like another tier in between mid tier and high tier just to like, yeah, I'm gonna do that. Like close to high tier, I feel like. And I feel like this RC is Pichu. I don't know, when I think about decks like this, dude, it's like, I feel like it's so close to that top tier status, but there's just like, dude, like RC's lead is just kind of holding it back. So I think it has some consistency issues. Like sometimes, you know, like you can't just not draw it. We are missing stuff like Pikachu, which I will add, you know, once we actually get to that point. But I think it's very close to high tier. I just feel like it's not on the level of these decks. Maybe maybe I'm capping. Maybe it is actually here at the end of the day, but that's just how my brain works. No, yeah, but I just don't think RC is Pichu is like at that level, man. So I'm gonna put it there. I think another deck that like might be high tier in the upcoming days, I think Magazone Sylveon is actually very strong, because you can tech in Tapu Lele to be able to deal with Darktina. You know, Tapu Lele can always do heavy damage to Guzzlord and stuff like Zard. Yeah, I think it's just a deck that's very close, and I think it's a deck that can be high tier. I think it's just nobody is really using it. I have been seeing yeah, I forget his name, but there has been someone in Discord I've been seeing using this in like the top 200, and I just think it's strong. I just think it's a strong deck that it will probably be maybe played more. Probably has some weak matchups maybe. I don't know how the Espeon matchup or the EV box matchup is, but it's, you know, it's a deck that could beat Savali. It's a deck that could be like Sylveon, Greninja, I'm assuming, and then you have Oricorios potentially to slot in to be able to beat these other decks. So I just think it's a very strong deck, dude. I mean, I think Magnezone is just always strong. It just kind of depends. I think Magnezone is also one of those decks where like every time like in a meta, bro, it always comes back like the last like 2 weeks. So I wouldn't be surprised if this does move here, but I'm gonna put it here for now. Next we have like stuff like Donphan, bro. Both the Donphan decks are pretty mid. This lack consistency, not the strongest. You know, 110 damage cap. Like obviously, you know, in the Lucario version, you do have Lucario. Like they can be good against like the EV decks, like early game. You know, snipe something. You can snipe a baby Pokemon. But like overall, like consistency wise, bro, and just damage wise, like they just don't have enough. So I'm gonna put those in mid tier. I think basically where they were last time. And like I feel like any of these decks in mid tier can do good, by the way, if you just get a good bracket in a tournament. And I feel like, you know, you can't play them in ranked, you know, if you just get good luck and get the good matchups or just draw good. But you're not gonna have the best like and most consistent time probably. Macargo, bro, I'll put him in low tier. I'm not gonna put him in garbage because this card can smoke you, bro, if they actually get a it probably is overall garbage, bro, but I've been smoked, bro, so I'm gonna put him low tier, bro. I don't want to jinx myself. But like theoretically, like going second like Macargo, bro, it can do something. And yeah, I'll put him in low tier. Because at the end of the day, like you are relying on some good rolls, but it overall like it is pretty garbage, but it's done stuff, bro. So I'll put it low tier because funny, bro. Why not? At the end of the day, I mean, anything in low tier is kind of garbage anyways. Like honestly, bro, Dragonite is probably mid tier. It probably is mid tier, bro. I'll put Dragonite mid tier. I think it actually is better than Lugia, and I'll just put it in mid tier. I think Skarmory is like low tier. I also think it's garbage. I think Skarmory is garbage. I'm just gonna put it in garbage. Lugia, I've lost to Lugia before. I've never lost through Skarmory. This deck is just not good. I don't think like honestly Macargo could go like it doesn't matter, bro. I've lost the Macargo. I've never lost to Skarmory. And I played multiple decks against Skarmory. It's just not a good deck, you know. There's just not a real good partner. Ven, I know you love Skarmory, bro, but I'm sorry, man. This thing is garbage. Like, okay, so Arceus Thanos is alright. If this also could just be like the regular Crobat version, I think it's alright. I don't think it's anything special, bro. You know, consistency issues. You're probably playing this with Sylveon now, and if you're playing with Sylveon, Sylveon is a non-attacker, which means you're kind of like really reliant on stuff like Crobat. But anyways, bro, what I was saying is, yeah, I think Arceus Crobat is just fine. I think it's low tier. I just think there's just better Arceus versions. So we have both the Crobat decks. I think Crobat, dude. I think Crobat is close to high tier. I think it's closer to mid tier than high tier, but I think Crobat is better than Donphan. So I'm gonna put it in one tier above because I think, you know, drawing an early Crobat can be good. No, yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about, Dave. Like if you guys don't agree with something, say it in chat, bro, and I'm down to have a conversation. Yeah, I probably would agree. It probably is. I mean, it kind of is garbage though. I'm gonna be so real, bro. Like, what has it done? But no, I think early Crobat, bro, was like better than Donphan. So, and you know this like Sylveon. I just think it has no good partners besides Darktina. I'll put like the Nahogo version in mid tier because it's way less consistent, but like it can be better if you God roll. Yeah, like honestly, like I mean, obviously no garbage is just kind of being a meme, bro. But it's like I'll probably just do this, bro. I'll probably just switch to like Ultra Ball decks. And then I could put more cargo. Like if we're being like 100% accurate, like I could probably do this, and I feel like that's like way better than just calling something garbage, because Skarmory can work in Ultra Ball, and like stuff like so is like Executor, Ultra Ball decks or unranked Master, Loki Ultra Ball 5 decks. Yeah, I think Ultra Ball 5 because any of these decks can be unranked, aka unranked. Boom. If we're being serious, let me do that. Just so, yeah. I think Blacephalon, bro. I don't think it's good. I also don't think Umbreon is good. Umbreon has no good attacker. It has 2 Umbreons and a Greninja, and that's it. I don't even want to talk about it, dude. Like everybody just knows Umbreon is pretty bad. Like it's just like if it was, dude, maybe if it had like 1 retreat cost, sure, dude. But the 2 retreat cost is what like puts it in the grave. And then like it's just, yeah. I almost would have rathered Umbreon be like 40-50 damage for 1 energy with that ability. Yeah, I think that is, I think it is more accurate, bro. But dude, I don't, Tapu Koko Arceus, I'll probably put mid tier. I think I honestly, like, I don't think it's necessarily bad because I don't think mid tier decks are bad, and like low tier decks are low tier, bro. Like they're not necessarily garbage. But I just think Pichu Arceus, like Zoroark, Pichu Arceus, Oricorio is just overall better than just Tapu Koko Arceus. So that's like just why I'm gonna put in mid tier. Also, these are not ordered, by the way. Darkrai, I don't know, dude. Okay, I'm gonna need you guys' opinion. What is going to be Darkrai Tyro? Because I have not played that deck. I know that the Savali variant is way more popular now, but I don't know if it's close to high or mid. I just don't know, because I know there's been a lot of success early on. I just haven't seen it in a minute. Maybe I'll just put it in mid tier, bro, for now, because I've seen 2 people say mid tier, and we could change that later on. I don't know where Incineroar is. I'm just gonna place the low tier. I mean, if you high roll off the deck, sure. Maybe it's really not that good. I mean, nobody plays it, dude. It's like nobody plays Incineroar. I don't think I ran into 1 on ladder, so I'm gonna put a low tier, or maybe I could even put an Ultra Ball 5. But I feel like it's like if you got, I mean, it's not. Incineroar is not bad necessarily against any of these top deck metas. It's just like nobody plays it because like it doesn't. It's like kind of like similar to Charizard. It doesn't have a good partner, and like why would you play Incineroar over Charizard? Could be mid tier. I don't know if dude, is it mid tier? But I think I honestly would rather play Incineroar, bro, than Umbreon. So I'll just keep a low tier, maybe. Maybe it's just sure. I don't think there's a reason to think about this too much. I'll put a low tier because maybe. I think just Greninja or Oricorio, bro, is kind of good in every meta deck. And I have been seeing people use it a lot more on ladder and like top 1000 and like top 100 from the streams I've been watching. So, dude, we have a lot of high tier decks, yeah, but at the same time, I do think the meta is hella diverse. So I'm fine with this. I think Solgaleo, bro, I'm going to put it in mid tier. I think it's actually kind of low tier, but I think it always can do something, you know, if like you avoid Oricorio and you get a fast Solgaleo, like Solgaleo is actually pretty decent in the Buzzle and Espeon, Sylveon. It's probably good in the Savali decks too if they don't have Oricorio. And you always can tech in Magonia, so it's like possible for Oricorio, but at the end of the day, like I think it's way worse. I think Zard has a way better time dealing with it, because you know you stoke up the energy, so you actually are able to like swap out and attack of Zard once you do knock out the Oricorios, where like Solgaleo has like no way to really do that. Yeah, exactly. That's why I think it's just mid. I think because I think all these decks can cook, you know, if you just get a good bracket or just like good matchups, but they're not going to be the most consistent wise. So I think mid tier is fine. And Gyarados, I'm going to put a low tier, bro. I know Gyarados was having hype at early meta, and I don't know if the Japanese person is still playing it, but it does do good in the Darkrai Giratina and stuff like Espeon, Sylveon, and Zard. It's hella inconsistent, and Magikarp sucks because it's 30 HP. I'll put it low tier, and that is, well, I'm just gonna leave it there, man. Like, it's just inconsistent. Magikarp sucks, and Manaphy also sucks. However, if you can get the Gyarados charged up, it's nice. However, we are missing some decks, so I'm gonna go figure out what we're missing, bro. All right, so I think this is like every meta deck that we have in ranked yet that was not on this tier list. So we have dark. Obviously, this is scuffed because I don't have like the double thing. Yeah, 100%. Most baby decks besides like Dragonite because they're like hella god rolly, but most baby decks are very strong. But yeah, we had a Darkrai Ho-Oh, which is represented by Snorlax, or just like any Ho-Oh Snorlax deck because they're like mostly the same. Plus, I mean, the most one is we have Pika. We have Garchomp because I just added it, and then we have Masquerade Decidueye because why not? Pikachu. I think it's honestly, as much as like fun as I had, I think Pikachu is honestly overall mid tier. It can high roll whether you are playing the Genetic Apex Pikachu version, Zap with the Zapdos, or you are playing the 150 Cannon. I think it's strong. It has some weaknesses for sure, and it is going to be carried a lot by that Oricorio. I think the mid tier. I don't know if anybody else agrees, because I know Dave, I know you love Pikachu. Overall, it is not going to be the best time. It also does have some rough matchups. I think the Espeon matchup, if we can't get an early KO, is pretty bad. I think stuff like Buzzwole is probably bad. Like, it can be a very aggressive deck and win you fast games, but overall, like the matchup wise, if you aren't able to get a turbo kill, can be pretty bad. So I think it's a very fine mid-tier deck, and like, I think it's better than stuff like Dragonite. I'm going to put Dragonite low tier, bro. I actually, now that I changed the tier list, I'm putting Dragonite back in low tier. I just don't want him up in mid tier. I fucking don't believe in Dragonite, dude. And like I said, this is my tier list. This is my personal opinion. I don't believe in Dragonite. I'm putting him back down. Because I'm thinking of like stuff like Donphan and Pikachu, and I'm like, those are fine decks. And I think of Dragonite, I'm like, I'm not going to win a game with Dragonite, bro. Unless I God roll. So I'm going to put Dragonite back in low tier. Next up, we have Darkrai Snorlax. My honest opinion would be mid tier. However, I'm going to put it close to high tier because everybody who is actually playing this deck is, and also Seagoon is gassing this deck up. Everybody who is actually playing it is saying it is a top tier deck, and it is close to, obviously, no, not top tier, but like a high tier deck. Everybody is gassing it up. I tried it out. I'm just bad. I thought it was pretty mid. Everybody else is also getting tournament results by the few people who are playing it, because it's not a very widely used deck. Like, not a lot of people are using it, but the people who are using it are having a lot of success. So I'll put it in close to high. Maybe it is high tier, but I think we'll find out more like next week, guaranteed, what decks that are close are going to be moved up to high tier. Yeah, so like Genjutsu said, I don't like it personally either, but everybody else who is actually like using it is having a great time and like climbing ranked with it. So I think it's like one of those decks where like if you vibe with the deck, or if you're like in a certain range where like you are facing a bunch of Darkrai Giratinas maybe, and like certain matchups that it does beat, I think it's a strong deck. So I'm gonna put it close to high tier. Is it probably better than Crobat? Yes, but Crobat can God roll at the same time. And like I said, this is not really ordered. I could order these, but the ordering does not matter. We have Masquerade Decidueye, bro. It's low tier. It's low tier. It's funny because like it does beat like Darkrai Giratina and stuff like Espeon, and I actually kind of feel like it has potential, bro. Like, I feel like if I make a better deck list, maybe with 2 Rowlets, I think it actually could be a mid tier deck. But I think it overall is low tier. I actually genuinely feel like Masquerade Decidueye is better than all these decks down here, because like it has good matchups into the top meta. It's just a very inconsistent deck because you are relying on going second, and it's not the best going second deck. Like, why would you play Masquerade when you could play something like Savali going second? So I'll put it in low tier. And maybe it is really just an Ultra Ball 5 deck, but like it does beat the top meta. So I think it's fine putting it there. I also put the Garchomp in low tier. I think Garchomp, you know, you can high roll, get like a couple Rampardos and some Garchomps. I just don't think Garchomp is really the best. I think just meta wise, it has a lot of bad matchups. I think like the best matchup it has is like Guzzlord and like Savali or Ikorio decks. Besides that, I feel like everything else kind of cooks it in the top meta. And I think it has like an even matchup in the Savali or Sylveon Greninja, depending on like if you get a Garchomp right away or not. But I think it just has some bad matchups. You know, it's inconsistent. You have to play like the Sylveon package, and that makes like Sylveon useless, you know, besides draw power. I think it's fine. I just think bad matchups, inconsistent. because you are playing Skull Fossil. So yeah, I think I'll put it in low tier. And is there any changes, like anything that could move up? Honestly, I don't know, dude. What do you guys like? I'll let you guys like talk in the chat, dude, before I end the recording. But I think this is like pretty accurate, at least how I view the game. Like, yeah, maybe some stuff can be changed. Like maybe overall the Crobat is just mid tier. Maybe like the Darkrai BB deck is close to high tier. And like maybe we could have like another tier in between mid tier and low tier to like the it's like whatever. But I think for the most part, I think the mid tier decks can be strong. They just have some issues. And I think all these decks, I think we're in a good meta. I think this is one of the best metas, man. And yeah, I think that just does it for the tier list, dude. I think this is just how I think week 2. We'll come back and revisit week 3, see if there's any changes. And peace out. Have a lovely day.